Hello everybody and welcome back to my analysis series of my Champs Ladder Season 38 run with my Orc team. Today we've got another 2 games in one. We're going to start with game 6, which is against Gorka's Orc team. So let's have a see how we got on in another mirror match. So we have our block Black Orc and tackle Blitzer. Our opposition does not appear to have any skill ups, but he does have on show the standard, or traditional if you will, 4 Black Orc, 4 Blitzer build. So we will be able to see how our build does directly against that again. Of course we do have the one block Black Orc, but our tackle Blitzer is meaningless in his game, as he has no dodge for that to affect. So there we are. Got the bribe, so it looks like I'm going for the foul straight off the bat. I don't mind that. Although, if he had been sent off, even with the removal, I'm trading a lineman for a lineman, so with the bribe, obviously it changes things. It means you can be a bit more gung-ho with the fouling. The ball was 7 squares away, so I didn't go for the pickup. That's okay. Against a faster team, I would perhaps gone for it with the other goblin there to cover. Okay. So this would appear to be a little bit of old habits dying particularly hard here, because again I'm taking this block with an unskilled Black Orc. That could fail. I have 1, 2, 3, 4 players able to move back into this midfield area here in order to cover the ball retrieval. With a Blitzer here, just needing a couple of assists in order to get a 2 dicer there, so yeah. Still not ordering the turn properly. Yeah, I think that initial block was to free up the assist for this blitz here. And I'm maintaining a pretty high line, so oh, okay. Could have gone wrong. I think here I'm trusting to the fact that if this blitzer attempted to encroach upon this half, then obviously these two would be able to keep up with him, but we've got 2 blitzers here now that can invade potentially. So, but no pressure in my half yet. 2 removals though. So work to do now. Work to do now. See, I've got another turn or two of just taking the blocks, trying not to get people committed, and maybe orchestrating a foul still because we've got the bribe. Hoping to claim back one of those removals. There's one. With the bribe usage. So bribe gone, but we've got one of those removals back at least. And just the dodge out to prevent the block. Ball in hand now though, so we can start to move. I think this could have been made very uncomfortable for me here. My opponent's retreated some players. I don't think I would have liked to have seen pressure on these players at the moment. It's a shame, and you would have got one block to make. If that was going to be a block, which I suspect it was, then that was not very well covered at all. But my opponent is now going to have to shuffle over to this side. My turn 5 is approaching, so this is about the time in the match when I do want to be at least in the right half. See, this is interesting though. I think we could still move this a little further to the right here. I think he would have been well placed in there, the troll. Well, I'm not sure about this at all. They get flattened, and then someone's on the goblin here. To go for it, this lineman can blitz the goblin. Perhaps that turn was a bit rushed. I'm unsure what I was doing at this point. See, the push there has really helped us out massively. Massively. That could have gone severely wrong. I still don't like the look of this the score. Looks like I'm switching back now. Which is okay if I can keep these guys tied. If I can keep them tied. A big misclick there. That may very well have been the what should have been the blitz. That's triggered a memory now. I vaguely recall thinking that was probably game over. Because that was bad. And that is sadly just one of those things that playing online, it's a mechanic that simply doesn't happen on the tabletop, is a misclick. You know, a tabletop, if you go to, you know, put a miniature in the wrong square and you can't do it, you need to dodge or something, you realise and you take it back. On the computer, once you've clicked, that's it. You have to sit back and watch in slow motion. Yeah, I don't think this drive ends in a touchdown. From the look of this. Or does it? Because what we can see here is a big gaping hole down the right here. My opponent has brought everything down the left, so what option do I really have here except the big switch? So yeah, that was a nice bit of movement I had left over there, and was able to get that ball right on the other side of the pitch, cover this blitzer here. So the best he can do now is get on my ball carrier, but he will have ball in hand on my turn 8, so still work to do by all means. So let's see how we get out of this. Couldn't get the troll involved, so it's the one-man blitz. Similar score to that which we saw in our previous game against Orcs. The blitz out, the dodge, and the score. So, yeah, we were quite fortunate there, I think, to crowbar out a touchdown of that drive, because it really did get dried up. I think, by all means, my opponent got 2 really big removals that slowed down the drive, but I think looking back at it, I perhaps wasn't aggressive enough in terms of the actual focus on the ball, because I shouldn't have needed to have done such a big switch to get the scoring chance. So, just need to survive his turn 8. Knockout is still out. Okay, so into the second half we go. 1-0 to the good. Let's see if we can stave off the opponent's chance at an equaliser. So far in this series, I'd say that my defensive side has been relatively good. So I should be confident here. This is already looking appealing. That doesn't look like that blitzer is too far away from being off the pitch at all. We've got plenty of time. We brought the outside guys in. And there we have it. That is a gift which we will gratefully receive. This is good. Yep, I like this. Again, we've seen this before from me in this series, just a relatively wide profile on the defence so that we can cover any switches, but we maintain double banks where we can, or a single black orc at the very least. You know, we've got all the time in the world to restructure these guys to the centre after taking the first turn to surf the blitzer. Okay, so that's something to remember, guys. You may have that turn or two to dedicate to just beating something up in this game. Maybe it's dedicating a few assists around for a foul or a blitz that looks quite good. As long as you're not going to sacrifice the initial position and allow your opponent in for a scoring opportunity, then just recognise when you have the time and resource available to do that. I don't think that follow-up was necessary on the Black Orc, if I'm being super critical, because these two that are on the floor are now tagged by the lineman and the troll anyway, leaving the Black Orc free on my next turn to move around. That was maybe a blocking action that I didn't think all the way through beyond the mere act of pushing that guy back and tagging him. Goblin survives. Now, he easily could have not survived, so we are a bit blasé in the use of these goblins. Yes, okay. We are again just standing off, forcing our opponent to commit the players. I think he could have just stood there, the troll. I think it's worse if he loses his tackle zone than just standing there. We certainly don't want the switch to look too appealing when we've committed these blitzes over here, so I think the troll should have stood where he was and done nothing. Inconvenient. So that's why we've used the Apo. That is a bit of a power Apo use. But this drive has really now become about keeping our opponent at bay, keeping numbers in the way, and so therefore did not want to lose that guy on the KO. Shore this up for a turn, and then he's back on his feet. And as always, when you play this way and you get left with blocks, you will get the odd chip, as we did there. So don't, it may scare you, but don't automatically discount the possibility of the power Apo. I know in certainly an extended league format, you want to save it for, any bad injuries to key players, but just assess the game scenario. The players are there to win you the game. And I certainly wanted this guy to stay on the field. Yeah, see, that was a poor, really stupid roll. Let's just have a look at this pitch scenario now. We've got our opponent bunched up in one area now. We've got players that are able to move over here, so we'd be banking up here basically, or here. These guys can easily move over here. This blitzer, this Black Orc, these two goblins can shift across, create those columns. There's no need to lose that tackle zone. He's already in place. So that was silly. So we're tagging up as well to ensure that really we are talking about minimal movement for this pack now. We've still got our opponent bogged down, but the troll keeping his tackle zone could have only added to the situation for us. And now we see, it looks like our opponent has, if anything, given up on the drive, which is a compliment to our defensive work here, I think. Yep, and we don't need to do anything clever here. Maintain the situation. And see this one out. And see it out we do for a 1-0 win. Now, it wasn't a squeaky clean touchdown from our side, but the defensive play was good. Again, I think that I was a little bit lacking in aggression and purpose in terms of the way that I moved the ball and went for it in the first sort of 2-3 turns of the match. I think I should have collected, moved up, you know, maybe spread a little of the play to the right-hand side, moved his players around a bit. It just sort of built the half into an awkward situation. So that's game 6 out of the way. Let's see how we get on with game 7. So here we are, moving on to game 7. Now, game 7 was an ill-fated game indeed. The draw is very tough. We're up against Fatal Justice's Orc team, but we are massively outgunned in this fixture, as you can see from the skill tags here. We're playing against a team packed with Guard and Mighty Blow, and we have therefore induced a Wizard, which is fine. But I'm not happy really with my inducement choice of Ugroth, rather than the Bribe, which I think would have served us better here. The Chainsaw is just too much of a, especially with, you know, on a loner. If you've got a Goblin with Chainsaw, you know, that you can re-roll the kickback on, a star player Chainsaw is just too much of a, you know, a random commodity really. But we will watch it unfold. It was one of these where I'm not, you know, I'm not entirely sure, but it's entirely possible that I checked out of this game very quickly from a mental perspective, because the build was good, the play was good from my opposition, and it soon unravelled. So let's see what I opted to do. So I'm immediately not playing the front line of scrimmage correctly because I'm not doing the blocks down the line. That's a telltale sign that I am concerned about this match already. You know, that should have been laid up for the 3 dice block on the lineman with the troll. And double skulls on your first blitz against such an opposition is not what you want. But here's our opposition, using his strength and guard very well, leaving us fairly helpless on that side. In comes more guard and mighty blow. So my little goblin down here next to the ball is looking particularly fragile indeed. Another double skull. by all means, we could do without that, but they will happen. And this is first chainsaw attempt. And he rolls kickback, so that, I believe, was the point where I decided that this game was doomed. Again, just getting strength out over here. You know, the two sort of pockets of players that I've got are just being overrun. You know, I don't think that this match was a lost cause on the face of it just because of the TV imbalance. That's why you have inducements. Yeah. Pickup failure there leaves us very fragile indeed. See, now unfortunately we don't really have the scope to reliably build any kind of cage around this goblin. Reroll has already been used, so any dodges out with their agility 3 players, as we see there. Can just end the turn. So really, it wasn't far into this match that you know, it was quite evident this wasn't going to be my day, and that's why this will momentarily end in a concede from myself. What could I have done better? Certainly the Ugroth inducement for me was wrong, and the early stages of just being so spread out and easy to overrun clearly, you know, paid their toll here, with the goblin simply undefended for the most part. And there, our opposition makes his dodge roll, injures the goblin, and the ball is now at the mercy of our opposition. So just to wind down to the end of the match there. You know, ultimately the writing was on the wall here, so I don't feel too bad about the concede in the circumstances. There's only so much time in the day, and that one was quite evidently not going to go our way. So there we are. That's Game 7 also wrapped up in quick succession. There is better than that to come. There was good positive signs in Game 6. Again, the defensive play was very, very good. I think in this 7, this is just one to draw a line under, forget about and move on. So take it easy, everybody, and we will be back for Game 8.